because this is a guy with a lot of money. I'm sure he's got homes and offices on both coasts, New York, LA, and we're here in New York. Joseph Marrone is with us, great attorney here. If I'm a juror and I'm listening to this, I'm like, of course this guy's creepy, right? He's having meetings in hotels with women. I mean, it's ridiculous. Doesn't he have an office?
Well, that's where it's going to come into play for the defense, to want to explain to them what the vibe is, what the way it goes in the movie business. It's
that you consensually sleep with a man who has more power than you to move up?
Listen,
is their defense going to be that, you think? That hey, this isn't sexual assault, this is merely a man using his power to have a woman consensually engage in sex with him, and they'll let him go?
Well, I don't think they're going to let him go, but they got to explain what the vibe is, what the tempo is. You're in the movie business. You come the whole court into some hotel atmosphere and women coming in and out of there. If that's the vibe, that's the vibe. It's going to come down to consent. If these women are coming in and out of there to kind of
well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, can you make an argument that they're consensually coming into these hotel rooms? You go to a hotel room, you know what to expect.
Absolutely. Listen, these are grown women in the movie business. They're going up to read scripts. They want to vibe. They want to, maybe they're going to drink some wine. Whatever the environment is, that's what goes on in this business. Now the question becomes, they voluntarily get to that point, then where does it go over the top where it's not consent? And that's going to be the big argument. But for the defense to get the jury's minds into that world is going to be very important. So if they understand that, and that's what every actress is expecting to see, that's the environment that they feel good in, then the question is, when does he go too far? And that's the information that the jury's going to want to hear. That's the instruction that the judge is going to read to them, the definition of consent, and that's what they're going to really have to fight for and getting the evidence across to the jury.
Yeah, and I think that's where the battle of this whole trial is going to be. Julie Grant, from my perspective, it's creepy, it's weird. It would be strange having meetings in hotel rooms with people you don't even know, and you're reading. This is a guy with millions of dollars. He could have offices everywhere. He could rent out a conference room, but it's like in a hotel. It's weird, but the question is, I think for this trial, what it's all about is, looking at it from the accuser's perspective, are they at all aware of what is going to happen when you get beyond that door, and when is the line crossed, and where is it? It's going to be fascinating to see how that plays out, especially when you talk about cross-examining these 6 women who are going to come into the courtroom.
Absolutely, Vinny, you are correct. I think context is really going to be key here, because something that may seem really abnormal for most of us might have been customary in that industry. So I think it's really important for both sides to understand where everybody is coming from. If it was common to meet at hotels, maybe over drinks to discuss business. Maybe it wouldn't be something industry or something that folks outside of the industry would typically do, but those in the industry, were they accustomed to it? Was it not a red flag is the bottom line. I think we have to be looking for those red flags. Vinny, I appreciate those thoughts in that interview. I want to turn to my guest in the studio, Sarah Becker, criminal defense attorney here. What do you think about setting the scene to give both sides context of how these meetings occurred? We just watched that interview where maybe someone on the outside might say, well, look, this seems like big red flag to me. Why would you go there? Does the prosecution really have a responsibility in calling these witnesses to kind of lay the land out before, as the direct examination begins, before defense has a chance to cross?
Absolutely, and I think that we'll expect to hear that in the opening statement as well. They're going to have to tell the story of how and why these witnesses are still credible, given what may seem to be potentially putting themselves in circumstances that the jurors may not have put themselves in. They're going to have to make it relatable, and they're going to have to, I think, tackle it head on early to make sure that that testimony is received in the proper manner.
Mm-hmm. And I think if the defense is going to raise a consent defense, like we believe they likely will, given all the indications we've had thus far, it seems like they've got to set that scene too, and make everyone understand that this may have been a way business may be done in Hollywood, albeit as unusual and maybe unsettling as it is for other Americans. What do you think, Sarah?
Yeah, absolutely. On both sides, they're going to have to do that. I think you'll expect the prosecution to try to tell the story. Don't discount these witnesses because they showed up and put themselves in situations that you may not understand. And the defense, I believe, will probably spin that. And you're going to hear a lot about how you may not have engaged in these kind of behaviors consensually with a man like Weinstein. However, here's what happens in the industry and why these individuals very well may have consensually participated in this type of encounter.
Right, Sarah. Sarah Becker, always great to have your thoughts. You're going to stay with us. We want you to stay with us at home as well. When we come back, it is time for your daily sidebar here on Court TV. We'll be discussing the few last-minute motions we think might come up ahead of the Weinstein trial. Tuesday is the day designated for that. So we'll discuss what we think we may be hearing about. Also, I want to make mention in this week's Court TV podcast, Vinnie Politan and Seema Iyer discuss how star power from both the defense table and from the witness box will be impacting this trial. Here's a preview.